Might have been Bruno Fernandez.
Can see that.
I mean, if anything, you're gonna catch teeth. So, yeah, that nasty overbite, that Portuguese overbite.
Him versus Luis Suarez in a teeth off.
What about like Bobby Firmino from like 3 years ago?
When his teeth were all fucked up, not new Bobby Chompers, but old Bobby Chompers.
Most terrible Premier League teeth.
Jurgen Klopp before he got his teeth fixed.
No, Jurgen Klopp after he got his teeth fixed.
No, before. Did you?
Hold on, am I recording?
No.
Yeah, you are recording.
Yeah, you are.
You see them before?
Have you seen them now?
They're better than they were before.
Ugh.
I'll take a straight overbite versus a damn near jigsaw.
Okay, hold on. Hold, please.
Hold on.
Hold on.
Oh,
They're both terrible.
I'll take his new teeth over his old teeth.
same.
Look at the bottoms of those things. Them some bitches are black.
Ugh.
And gold, not black.
Easy now. Easy now.
They're brighter than 1,000 suns.
His bottom row is fresh off the boat.
It's Yemi Baki Yoko. Oh, yo. Samina Mina. Edward Mende. Samina Mina Sam Sadate. He comes from Senegal.
And I think going out and get Saul was the top transfer of the market for Chelsea.
Chesney could have been in the shower smoking a cigarette like he was at Arsenal, and we still would not have scored.
My rants have been fueled by Scott. Don't get it twisted.
Big Rom. Man, fuck you.
In Roman we trust, right?
You and me are going to have a battle royale about Jorginho and diving. Welcome to the Flag Stays Down podcast. Boys, we are all back this week. Oh, I thought we were going to go a long while just interchanging pieces here, but one last hurrah. Boys, how we doing?
Wow, with that rousing intro. I'm fantastic. Not really, but just got off a plane, got to my hotel room and logged in just a few minutes after that. I'm in lovely Oklahoma City for work. Feel like that's all I do right now is travel for work. Yeah, it's kind of a busy season for that, but I can't complain too much, boys. I got to go to London. I got to see the boys play live in person, which is awesome. It's only happened a handful of times in my life so far, and it's always a treat to go do it. So we'll touch more about that later. But I feel very lucky. I feel lucky that I got to go there. Team got a win. Team got a second win. I feel like I should never have left, but hey, it looked like they could still win without me there because we got a win just yesterday too. So life's good, boys. How about you, Matt? How are you?
We're doing. For those who have been kind of following the pod week in, week out, I am expecting a first child in the coming days. So yeah, it's just been kind of an interesting weekend, just with stuff going on, but made it back for one more. So shout out to my wife for hanging on so that all the boys could be together probably one more time before the little one arrives. So all's good. Happy to be here.
We're all looking forward to meeting baby Jorginho.
You asshole.
All right, so that's Flag Stays Down podcast. You can catch us anywhere you get your podcasts.
Tell Chalupa Batman I said hi.
That's some real inside baseball right there.
Yep.
All right. Well, boys, I'm just gonna leave this little disclaimer at the beginning here. Just you gotta pardon what I'm dealing with here today. I spent all day reffing volleyball, blowing a whistle for 9 hours, and my ears are still ringing. A little bit of temporary hearing loss. So if I didn't hear you, it's either because I didn't like what you said or because I legit can't hear you. So I'm just gonna throw that out there right now.
Hey, to be fair, it's probably better than blowing Enzo. So, small victories.
What? All right. Well, boys, before we get into the action today, we are on episode number 31. And as I say every week, we're getting into the weeds here, and 31 is the weeds. But let's find a player that we can toast to on this week's pod. So again, I forgot my current rules for picking a player. It's a current player who wore it multiple years, big name player, and then a rando, I believe. So here are your four options. Current holder, Noni Madueke. Academy player, let's go for Kaio Tomori, 2017, 2018. The only player to wear this multiple years, Mark Bosnich from 2000 to 2002, Chelsea's keeper. And then for rando, I don't know, let's go George Weah.
Parks, go ahead. Lead us off.
Motherfucker.
Oh, you've been gone for 2 weeks. Fuck you.
I know. But I wanted Malang Sarr on that list.
Honorable mention.
Honorable mention, Malang Sarr. Yeah, out of that, I gotta go with the future, the hopeful None Madueke, because I think he brings a lot to the team. He hasn't had too many chances to prove it yet, but what I've seen out of him has been great so far, and I think he's got some good ability to take people on one-on-one, and I think we need more of that in the squad. So I'll go with Noni.
I'm also going to go with Noni just because he had a birthday the other day. So shout out to him. Happy birthday. I know he's a big listener of the pod. So I just want to make sure that I give him his kudos and happy birthday. Excited to see what the future holds for him.
Yeah, I did not know that him and Chelsea Football Club share a birthday. Chelsea turning 118 the other day. I feel like I have to go George Weah, just because I know he only played one season at Chelsea, but he is up there with the likes of Pele, that as one of the greats, certainly one of the greatest African players ever to play the game. And he gave us Timmy Weah. So I'll concede, because I'm pretty sure at some point I said Madueke is going to be a star on this team, like I do about every new signing that we have. So let's sweep it there, boys. So cheers to episode number 31, and cheers to Noni Madueke. Matt, I see you got a drink there. What are you drinking?
Well, something delicious to cope with the stress of this weekend. Just little nipper of bourbon. Nothing too bad.
Parks, what do you got?
I got a lovely bottle of water, man. Didn't have time to grab anything. I hustled here as quickly as I could.
Touche. Well, I'm right there with you, because it is still, God, it's still freaking Lent, and I gave up alcohol. So, Matt, you got a drink for 3 people. As he pulls up a beer can. Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on tonight's pod, we covered, oh my gosh, we had 2 matches this week, and it's gonna be the last time we have 2 matches for a couple weeks now. So beat Dortmund at Stamford Bridge on Tuesday, 2-0, overcoming that 1-goal deficit in the first leg in order to advance onto the quarterfinals. And then boys made it a win streak, 3 in a row, beating Leicester 3-1, on Saturday, where Leicester was also shown, surprisingly, only one red card. But we'll get into that as well. So tonight's pod, we'll talk a little bit about the evolution of Potterball here. Parker will give his breakdown of his trip to London. We'll talk some different players, Mudryk, Mount, maybe a little Kukurea. And finally, I'm sure it'll come up, terrible refereeing, because it's been that kind of week, boys. So, Matt, where do you want to start?
I would say let's start with the Dortmund match. When we had good friend of ours, Ty Frings, on, he even said he was a little bit leery of Dortmund coming to Stamford Bridge. I think the biggest thing that turned everything in our favor was Julian Brandt going down. I thought that he had a really good game against us. I don't remember him having as much pace as he used to when he used to play. I think it was with Leverkusen. But he was kind of the linchpin in the first match of breaking, or at least starting that counterattack. And he was damaging in that first leg. And I think him going down, obviously you never want to see a player go down like that, everything that happened, but I think that was a big plus for us because he was that person that could set Dortmund off on the counter. So overall, I thought it was a good game. Still nervy, I would say, and Parks, you probably know better than anybody, but I would say it was nervy, but I mean, at this point, you kind of come to expect those matches with Chelsea, with this kind of evolution that we're going through. Boys got to win, right? That's a big positive, right? We got to win. We got the job done. We got what we needed to keep advancing. This is the only major tournament that we're still involved in. So I'm happy to see that we're kind of starting to, at least what it seems, to starting to turn the switch a little bit and kind of turn towards the positive. We're starting to see that process kind of coming into the fold. Even with injuries and stuff like that, right? We're starting to see other players pick up, and we're starting to see the team gel, I think, a little bit more than we have been in recent matches.
Yeah, I agree with you, Matt. The team gelling has been kind of this process that's happened over the past couple of months, really. And I think we finally got some luck go our way, and not just with the injury, it's just some fortunate moments in the match. I think that Raheem goal could have easily not been a goal. He kind of took it first time and missed at it, and kind of got fortunate to be able to get a second crack at it. How many times do you get a second crack in the box? Not often, boys. It doesn't happen every time. So, that was a massive moment. And I think we got fortunate on getting the ability to take that penalty a second time. But even the penalty getting called, it felt like forever when they brought that ball back to actually call the penalty in for the first time. And so in the stands, we didn't know that was coming, and it didn't seem like they were going to bring it back and even give us the penalty in the first place, even though it felt like it was a pretty clear handball. So I think we finally got some things go our way, which was needed, necessary. But the atmosphere at Stamford Bridge was something that was really special, and it started hours before the game. My wife and I went to the Chelsea Pensioner, and I'm talking 4 hours before game time, and the place was not packed yet, but there was a bunch of people there. And 3 hours before game time, I mean, it was shoulder to shoulder, and people singing, people having a good time. You learn how little people think about Spurs, because all of the chants curse Tottenham in some way or another, which I think is just wonderful. Or Arsenal, but usually Tottenham. And it's great to hear. It was constant singing at the bar 3 hours before game time, and I was like, okay, this feels a little bit different. And so then you get into the stadium, and it was buzzing, man. It was cool. It was fun. It was energetic. People were nervy, but people were also just singing through it too, and just trying to fire the team up. Dortmund fans, I have to tip my cap to them as well. They brought some fun as well. They brought their flares and the pyro a little bit, and there was an orange hue or a yellow hue, excuse me, to the stadium, and I think we met that energy as well. So it felt like a proper, fun, big time atmosphere match, and I think the boys played really, really hard, knowing that it was a big match. They knew they had to come to it, but they had the fan support as well. And having been at the match 3 days prior, it wasn't even close to that. And I know we got a win against Leeds as well, but it didn't feel the same kind of atmosphere. It didn't feel like that big kind of a match. It felt like everything was kind of, culminating up to that Dortmund match. So that was cool to see. And I'm happy that we got the win, and I'm happy that we were able to ride that out.
And I think the team really fed off of that energy, fed off of that atmosphere. In real time, I was listening on the radio. I didn't get a chance to actually watch the match until later that day, but listening on the radio, it was boisterous. It was loud. And at first I couldn't tell them, maybe it's the Dortmund fans in the away end, but no, like the commentators just kept talking about, Stamford Bridge is rocking. And I think you saw that early on with how the team just came out, and it was 15 minutes of offensive onslaught against Dortmund. Now, granted, we didn't get anything out of that, but it was still something different than what we've seen over the last couple months. It was, kind of just going after it. It wasn't passive. It certainly was aggressive. But then you look even later in the match, once we had gone 2-0 up, and Dortmund then start to control possession. The guys didn't back down. Koulibaly was a freaking brick wall back there. Cucurella just kept shepherding people into the corner. Fofana, God, every time he jumps, I am amazed. He is the craziest vertical. But then you saw Dortmund start to get a little frustrated, right? And that this was my favorite part of the match. The win was great. The goals were great. Like Kai Havertz retaking the penalty was fantastic. But seeing Jude Bellingham and I can't remember who else. Marius Wolf was really getting in there with some rash challenges. And you see, Wolf went in on Chilwell. Cucurella comes sprinting from 20 yards away to get involved, stick up for his guy. Enzo was ready to throw punches after the match, from what it looked like with Jude Bellingham. Kai Havertz is always up for a fight. Like, the boys looked ready to play. They looked like they were not going to take any shit. And it's something that has been missing since, I don't know, but the last 6 months of Tuchel were kind of lame too. But maybe going back to that Champions League winning year where we want to build a team that no one wants to fight or no one wants to play. That's what this looked like to me. And so I was very impressed with just the mentality of the team.
You can say it. We haven't seen that since Rudiger left.
Rudy.
Yeah, we're all thinking it.
But before he decided to go to Madrid, because
Just
second
saying.
half of the season he backed off.
I'm just saying, you haven't seen that kind of fight since Rudiger was there, because he would, if he got involved, bad things are going to happen.
And then, so let's just get into the reffing right now. Because this is a good place to start.
Yep.
Parker, you already brought it up a little bit with the penalty. I'm sure, especially at Stamford Bridge, that VAR check seemed to take quite a while. You had mentioned that took quite a while after the play had already concluded, just for them to bring it back. How was that experience in person? The whole penalty, the penalty retake, all of that.
The handball seemed blatant from where we were sitting, and so there was a lot of noise around that, and we were just baffled that it wasn't like stopped. Usually it's pretty quick after something like that happens, where they'll kind of signal to someone to kick it out, and they'll go take a check. And it seemed like it took forever. I have no idea how long it actually took, but that was like the pins and needles, because we were like, are we really getting screwed out of this penalty? The check felt like it went relatively quick when they actually did go look at it, but then it's like pins and needles, just hoping and waiting. And it was like the 43rd minute, and we had a couple of really good chances. Or, I'm sorry, this is like the second half, the 53rd minute or whatever it was, but we had some good chances, man. We were just, everyone knew what that moment meant, that we could take the lead in this aggregate match, and then to see it miss, just like devastating. And so you can't tell that there was an encroachment. We had no clue that was coming back. And so it just was like, it was a very like roller coaster of emotion. And then everyone's just like, oh, who's taking it? Is Reese going to take it instead of Kai? Reese kind of picked up the ball first for the second time. And of course, Potter just mentioned that Kai is going to be his guy taking penalties. And then there's this massive moment, right? Then the retake, and we all know what can happen in retakes and multiple penalties and all that stuff. So does he go the same way? Does he go a different way? How's he going to take it? Does he have that kind of mental fortitude to step up and bury it? And so everyone's just chattering. Everyone's just like asking, what do you think? What do you think? Who's taking it? What's going on? And then he buries it. So it was more relief than like pandemonium celebration after he buried the second attempt, just because you were like, what is this going to do to the stands if he misses again, or if it's saved, or whatever happens there.
And Matt, what did you make of the whole penalty decision? Good call, bad call, questionable call? I know that you're somebody who likes consistency in their referees. And what was the ref's name? It's not Makaleli, McKeely or something like that. He's renowned to be one of the better refs in UEFA. So I mean, I trust his judgment, but
I don't trust any official's judgment after what I've seen the last few weeks. I could have seen it going either way. I guess at that point you leave it up to the VAR official if they need to go and take a look. As a fan, as a neutral fan, you could see it going either way. As a Chelsea fan, you think it's clear and obvious. Yes, it's a handball. As a Dortmund fan, you think not even close, right? It's one of those iffy calls, depending on who the VAR official is. It's something that turned in our favor, and I think we've emphasized this plenty. We haven't had a lot go in our favor, so maybe it was just a good stroke of luck that went our way. And then you look at the encroachment, like, fine. Again, I just think to a certain extent, luck was on our side in this match. But at the end of the day, we did what we needed to do. So the original call was questionable. The encroachment call was beneficial for Chelsea. But it's sometimes that's just how it goes, and we were on the fortunate end of that.
I feel like Dortmund got Chelsea'd. Like this is something that happens to us, right? A real questionable handball where is his arm out far enough? Is it not? Like I could have seen it going either way. And then the encroachment, of course, it's such obscure. You only see, one out of every 1,000 matches kind of deal. It just felt like something that would happen to us. And so if I was a Dortmund fan, like, absolutely, I'd be pissed. I would feel like we got robbed in this fixture. As a Chelsea fan, like, I'm all for it. Everybody likes to draw those parallels in what happens in certain seasons. And God, what group were we in this year? E or H or something? And the last time we were in that, we won the Champions League. Last time we fired a manager mid-season, we won the Champions League. Maybe I'm knocking on wood right now, but maybe it's our year. I don't know.
I mean, we also wouldn't have qualified for the Champions League the following year, because I think we would finish like 6th that year, and then we win the Champions League, so then qualify for it that way. I mean, there's a lot of parallels you can draw here.
All right. Well, turning to then the Leicester match, which we didn't score 1 goal, we didn't score 2 goals, we scored 3 goals for the first time since October. Woo! Boys, as soon as Leicester equalized that match, I thought, okay, well, here's drop points again. I did not think we would score multiple goals, but we scored 3 worldies. I would put them all in a goal of the month kind of poll. Kovacic's, whatever you want to call that, Chilwell's volley, and then, oh my gosh, you guys know my reaction in the group chat to the Enzo pass, Kai chip volley. Oh, I probably watched that 1,000 times. It looked good. So I don't know what's changed. From last month to the last 3 matches. Maybe you guys have some more insight on it than I do here.
Oh, I've got plenty of insight for you. Trust the process. Mr. Potter out himself. It takes time, right? That's what Parker and I have been adamant about. It takes time. Does it look great to start? No, it doesn't. But once you get to a certain point, it starts to look better. I think having the Dortmund match in the middle of the week, where you know that your back is up against a wall, you need to produce something, you're at home, you need to get the crowd behind you, which has been a little bit lackluster, to just kind of put it out there in recent matches, because obviously the team wasn't doing that well. But when you get that excitement at home at the Bridge, you win a crucial match to keep going in the Champions League. You keep that same energy going into the Leicester match. Honestly, I am damn near close to hating Leicester as much as I do Tottenham. I'm pretty damn close. That rivalry started probably, 2 years ago, when Daniel Amarte stomped on the patch or whatever after they won the FA Cup against us in the semis or something like that. And we played them 3 times in 7 days. Yeah, that kind of set it off for me. I was thrilled watching that match. I was nervous when they did score. Granted, don't take anything away from Daka. It was a great hit. I don't think there was much else Kepa could have done. He put it in a great position outside the box, which we all know, going back to recent years, yeah, Kepa has issues with that. But there is no way that you were going to stop that. But just see the response and the tenacity that our team had, the fight that they had. It was outstanding to see. We were ready to throw hands with anybody and everybody. And that's exactly what I want out of this Chelsea team. So I was very happy with the result. I was very happy with how the boys played. I thought it was a well-earned, a well-deserved 3 points all the way around. And to see our front 3 scoring, or even just goals in general, right? Kova, made Mr. Miyagi proud, right? Like that crane kick goal, beautiful. It's just things like that where you need a little bit of class, you need a little bit of fortune, and we haven't had much of it. And now it seems like it's kind of turning more in our favor, to an extent. But we'll touch on that piece later.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that's changed is that we have a consistent lineup week in and week out, where we don't have many changes. The changes that we have are due to injury or illness or things like that. But we've kind of built up a lineup that more or less has looked, pretty consistent. And these guys are starting to figure out, the gears. And Matt, you touched on it. I just want to emphasize, like, when you put 7 new players into a team that's relatively broken, and there's new management and there's new ownership, like that's so much change. And no one has an identity yet. No one knows what to play and what do you hang on from the old days and what do you completely scrap and draw up new. And who are your leaders? Is Enzo a leader yet, or is he going to be a future leader? Like, you kind of have to wait and see a little bit. If you're a new guy, you're a young guy, you don't want to step on too many toes, you don't want to do too much to disrupt what's going on. And I think the identity of the team is starting to come out. Collins, you said we scored 3 goals. We scored like 7, I think. Like, we put a lot of really good chances. When I watched the highlights back, there was that Joao Felix goal that started with Mudryk. He kicks it out to Ruben Loftus-Cheek, who's been playing surprisingly well lately as well. Loftus-Cheek puts this ball on a fucking platter for Felix. One times it in the back of the net, and he's offside. Doesn't need to be outside, right? But just seeing like those gears turning, I'm just like, ooh, man, this is clean. Like, this is this is how we're supposed to fire. And we used to just kind of be like, are we scoring today? Yes or no? And if we do, it's probably only 1, so you better not concede. And I can start to see how we can score 2-3 a match. And our defense has been playing pretty solid. I think we looked shakier on defense yesterday than we have in recent history. I thought we gave up too many chances to Leicester, and I thought we were actually relatively fortunate to only get off with 1 goal conceded, because I think there was enough chances there for them to get 2 or 3. So I thought we were fortunate to get away with it. Kepa's been playing brilliantly. I think he's really stepped up. He's made some really crucial saves. I don't think anyone talks about him, and I'm fine with that. But like, Collins, your offensive lineman chatter, where if you're doing your job, you don't talk about him. If no one wants to talk about Kepa, I'm fine with it, but he has been playing lights out. And I'm going to say that live here, because he has been playing lights out. He's made some really big saves, really big moments that I think we're all kind of taking for granted right now. But the energy has changed. I think the swagger is coming back. And I still think we're a work in progress. I don't think we know exactly what our best 11 is. I don't know if we know where some guys' best positions are. I think like a Mudryk can be in a couple different positions. But I like what I'm seeing right now. And I like that it feels like it's turning. It feels like we're building momentum. I feel like we're a team that people don't really want to play right now, because I think they know the firepower that we have. Everyone saw it on paper, and now they're getting to see it in real life, firing together and putting balls in nets, and then also not letting the other team score. I think it's happening on both ends of the pitch. I think we're, kind of looking like a squad finally.
And so, Matt, I know you just called me out a couple minutes ago here. I'm not Potter in yet. We were joking pre-pod about Kai's back, I was me saying Kai is back, right? Or how many times I said Mason Mount is back, right? Could this be just a temporary run of form in this team? I don't know. It's possible. But I like what I've seen in these last couple matches. And Parker, you nailed it right on the head here. it's been a consistent lineup. When we were arguing initially about me being Potter out, it was that, we had, what was it, 90 some lineup changes and 18 matches, something like that. Some crazy number. But the last 3 matches, it's been fairly consistent. Obviously Thiago Silva going out injured changes things. Like, that's a needed replacement. Reece James being ill / injured, whatever he happens to be, needing Ruben Loftus-Cheek, that's a needed replacement. Raheem Sterling, I believe, was also ill. And so switching him out in this match, again, needed. It's the unnecessary changes that I don't like. And so I think you're seeing a fairly consistent front 3, Kai, Zhao, and then what was Raheem Sterling, now apparently Mudryk. That midfield seems to be solidified with Enzo and Captain Kova. You got your wingbacks back, which I think is crucial. And then this is the thing I'll give Potter credit for. He has shielded players who have been playing poorly very well. And I think he has built a lot of trust in the squad from everything that I've been reading. You look at 3 players in particular. Kai Havertz. We've been ripping on Kai for weeks, right? And granted, now everybody has been. But, Potter hasn't been calling him out in his pressers. He consistently just keeps putting him out there. Like, he's got faith in him. João Felix said before the Dortmund match, like, hey, like, he's going to score. And then he did. But then you look at the other 2, Cucurella and Kalidou Koulibaly. Both struggled early on at Chelsea. And now the last 3 matches have been a fairly formidable partnership back there. And especially Cucurella playing as a center back. We saw him get subbed off in like the 30th minute against Manchester United as a center back. So his turnaround and just I guess I could say the positivity, the encouragement, I think is something to be grateful for with Potter. And I think the players are feeding off of that, especially, those 3. Now, another one is Pulisic, but he looks like dog shit every time he comes onto the pitch. He's been bad, so we can sell him. The Ziyech experiment is over. I don't like, that was kind of an unnecessary thing. I feel like Potter's kind of finding his groove. And so now we see what we can build from here. And I like the offense too. It's not so much we're going to have 60% possession, but it's going to be 100% meaningless passes sideways and backwards. You got Enzo very willing to chip the ball forward. Kovacic is going to run at people. You got healthy wingbacks again. But then you have a front 3 that's actually there to make runs. Havertz, we know, will always make a run. 90% of the times he'll be offsides, but he'll make a run. Raheem Sterling loves to run. Mudryk, we know, loves to run. João Felix loves to find just random pockets of space. And him and Enzo seem to have a great partnership. They're on the same wavelength pretty consistently. So that's what I'm seeing is what Potterball is. It's been a long time since I've been able to identify, like, this is the style Potter's trying to play. And I think this is what it is. We're not necessarily going to dominate possession, but when we do have possession, when we do, work to get that ball back, interceptions, high up the pitch, stuff like that, immediately it's a turn and burn. And I like that. So if we can continue that, if this system continues, if this, not necessarily form continues, but if I keep seeing this style being implemented, I think that leads to good things going forward. And then maybe I change my mind on Potter.
It's definitely like a speed style, because it feels like when we have the ball, we're pushing forward and we're sending guys long. And I love the interchangeability of the 3 front guys, because you'll see Kai making runs in the middle. You'll see him on the left side. You'll see him sometimes pop up on the right. And all 3 of those guys just kind of go wherever there's space and they fill in behind each other, which I love. But then high press, win the ball back, high energy, and I think like they're like they're there like 90% of the time because the other 10% leads to breaks. And I think you have to kind of be okay with that. Playing that sort of a style is like you're going to get broken every once in a while. You have to kind of have that recovery. But when it works really well, and it looks sexy and it's fun and it's exciting, and it leads to a lot of good opportunities because those turnovers in the middle of the pitch are where guys like Mudryk are just going to feast. They're just going to run out and have some space to play into. And Kovacic's like body awareness has been phenomenal. He knows where everyone is around him, and he uses his body really, really well to shield off the ball and then buy himself an extra second and a half to find somebody. It's been fun to watch, like that middle of the pitch kind of evolve and get a lot better.
All right. I'm just gonna say this very quickly. Collins, I'm happy to see that you are now seeing the process that myself and Parker have been trying to tout for a while. We're getting to that point.
Now hold on.
No, oh no.
Because
oh, no.
because
You
I
have
know
zero
I
legs
knew
to
what the
stand on.
process was.
No,
I
you
just
don't-
wasn't
you don't
sure
even have
Potter
a
was the
board
right
to
man to
stand
lead
on.
the process.
Oh yeah, Potter out every single week. I'm glad to see. I'm glad to see that you are finally able to realize what this whole thing has been coming to. Granted, we didn't know how long it would take, but we still had a lot of faith in it. You were this is Chelsea. This isn't going to work. Potter out. We can go back and listen to the other pods. You were very adamant about that. I'm just saying I'm very happy that you are, as you so eloquently put, you are taking a step back off the powder, off the powder out ledge, so to speak. You're taking a step back. I'm happy to see that. That's where I'm going to leave it. I'm very happy that you are not Potter in, but you are less Potter out.
Well, you know who is the key in all of this? And at 120 million pounds or whatever it's going to be is a freaking bargain, is Enzo Fernandez.
Sorry. Had a little.
No. He's the one. He is driving all of this.
I'm not arguing with you.
Yeah, I know. This isn't for you. This is for the listener. But you basically swapped Jorginho for Enzo, right, in that transfer window. And you're seeing so many more balls. And don't get me wrong, Jorginho in his day was a great passer of the ball, right? He had good eye, had decent link up, but things tailed off over the last season and a half. Enzo, at a very young age, was he 21? Is being compared to Cesc Fabregas, which is quite the compliment. And you look even further, and I looked at this a little bit yesterday after the match because I was on an Enzo streak. Just some of his analytics, right? Matt, shut up. So you look at his XG per 90. He's in the 96th percentile. You look at his expected assists and goals. He's in the 97th percentile. Shot creating actions per 90. So passes leading to shots. He's averaging about 5 per 90 minutes, which is phenomenal. It's 96th percentile in the Premier League. Progressive passes, Matt, I know you would appreciate that one. It's the anti-sideways and backwards pass. 99th percentile in the Premier League. The guy has literally changed the way that we do business at Chelsea. And oh my gosh, I'm gonna spend the rest of the night watching that assist again. That was probably my goal of the season easily.
No, I'm completely in agreement with you. Enzo is playing ridiculous right now. he is everything that he was touted to be, and then some, right? He is playing just, I think, better than we all expected, right? You bring him in January after a World Cup. He played with Benfica for what, 15 matches, 17 matches after he just got signed the summer before. And then he comes to a brand new league, fresh off of a World Cup victory where he was the best young player of the tournament for a ridiculous price tag. And everybody thought we were crazy, which, I mean, Bully's just throwing money out there just to show he's got the biggest dick in the room. But he's living up to it, bar none. It's and Collins put it very well. It's a steal what we got him for. At that age, with everything that he's doing, I think you could make the argument he has revitalized this team. I don't think it would be a stretch to say that. So I completely agree with you in what you make of Enzo. And I think he is doing a phenomenal job in that midfield. I think he was that piece that we needed, and the partnership with him and Kova. And granted, Kova came back off an injury, and we were trying to find the right pairing for him, right? We tried a lot of different pieces. They didn't necessarily work, but him and Kova seems like a very good duo to have to anchor that midfield. And then I also think that the formation change helps a ton. You throw 3 center backs at the back, 2 wing backs, then you have, 3 up top, 2 mid, well, like however you run it, but you throw that out there, you give more creativity going forward, and you're not so dependent on just having people stay back, where if you run a 4 back and you have your 2 bombing forward, then you're leaving yourself exposed, and we've seen that burn us more times than none. I think Enzo is doing a phenomenal job, and I think that he's only going to get better, which is scary. We know what he's doing right now, and he's only going to get better. So I'm very happy with what I see out of him.
That Matt, you're spot on with the formation change too. That was actually going to be my next topic. So well done. Going from the 4 at the back to the 3 or 5, whatever you want to call it, that has done wonders. I think the first time we had seen that in a while was in the Leeds match, the opener of this win streak. Before that, Potter had been trying to go for the 4 at the back, and maybe it's because of injuries, maybe it's because that's what he foresees as being the formation. But you look at the players at his disposal, and I think the 5 or the 3 at the back, 5 at the back, what I'm gonna call it 5. That's what I'm used to. The 5 at the back, I think, is a comfort level thing for this team. You look at the guys who play in his squad. Cucurella played 5 at the back under Potter at Brighton. Fofana played 5 at the back with Leicester. Thiago Silva is used to it. Not sure about Badiashile. I don't know much about Monaco. Koulibaly played it at Napoli. And then it allows Chills and Reece James, like you said, to bomb forward without having to worry, oh crap, now I got to track back immediately. So I think there's a level of comfortability that goes along with the 5 at the back here.
I love it. I feel like in recent years, we've had our most success with that sort of a formation. And I think our personnel fits it really well, especially our wing backs. I think that's what makes us super unique, is having guys like Chills and Reece James out on the pitch. I think it suits them very, very well to have that flexibility to go up without having to be just strictly on the defensive, or have those defensive responsibilities kind of taken over by someone else while they track back. I really enjoy seeing it, and it's kind of like my comfort as a fan, is that's what I like to see when I kind of look at the lineup. So I was surprised when I saw it against Leeds, but in a good way. I think it also just highlights the amount of injuries that we had. Wes Fofana coming back has been massive. Ben Chills coming back has been massive. Reece James coming back has been massive. And then you start to slot, like, when you think about it, it's like a lot of those guys were hurt, and Koulibaly was adjusting, and Badias Chile is new to the team, and Thiago Silva can't do everything anymore. And we have a midfield that's kind of broken, right? There's just a lot of things, and we're starting to get some of those things back, right? We're starting to get some of the pieces back and players back, and then the familiarity kind of starts to gel in. So it's taken some time. It's taken a lot longer. And to be fair, Matt, I was running out of patience with Potter too. I was damn near at my wit's end, and it was hard to continue to support when you couldn't see any progress, and you felt like you were taking steps backwards. And so I was losing it as well. And we all have our limits of how much you can take, right? But I'm happy that he got a win and then got a second win. So it didn't feel like a fluke, because I feel like if we beat Leeds and then we lose to Dortmund, and if we lose bad to Dortmund, let's say we lose 3-0, he has gained no traction forward. It's all backwards, right? I mean, if you go out of the Champions League in a bad way like that, 3-0 loss at home, people are calling for his head even more than they were a week prior. So I think he's definitely not off the hot seat. He's definitely still got a job to do, and people are, what have you done for me lately, as we should be. But he's bought some goodwill, and I think the players are starting to. You see their comments, right? They support the manager, and so I don't think he's lost the locker room. I think he's earned a lot of respect in the locker room, and happy to see what comes forward.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at what he has to manage, right? We've talked about all the injuries and people coming back, right? We're still waiting for N'Golo Kante to come back, right? We played RLC because Dave is still out with concussion and stuff like that. Reese is out. Yeah, like, you have to slot people where they can play. So, and let's not forget the roster that he has to manage. Like 33 starters on damn near any team in the Premier League, right? You have to keep them all happy. It's not an easy job. And I don't think that after January, he thought that he would have that many players to try and manage, but he does. It's a tough thing, but I do think that he is shielding players in the right way. We've the main person that sticks out to me is Mudryk. We're always, I mean, even in the group chat, we want to see Mudryk. Where is he? He's only coming on for like 10-minute cameos, if that. Or why is he not in at all? Right? We're asking these questions. And then he gets a chance to start, and you see what he can do playing in a probably a non-natural position for him. And you see the things that he's capable of. Granted, he's young. He has a high price tag. I think Potter is doing a fantastic job of shielding a lot of these young players. And Colin, to your point, a lot of these kind of, at a certain point, out of form players, and doing a great job of managing that and kind of managing the expectations around that, and just saying, hey, you're not going to play every game. I want time to work with you. I want time for you to adjust. I want to set you up for success, and not necessarily throw you out there and be like, all right, go do what you do, and just kind of watch them fail. So I really like the job that he is doing with a lot of these players.
Just a real quick fun fact. We're talking about players coming back from injury. And I saw this stat floating around the Twitterverse the other day. Now, granted, Ben Chilwell's been here for 2.5 years, and 76 matches in 2.5 years is not great. But 21 goal contributions in those 76 matches, 9 goals, 12 assists. Whew, that That's pretty important right there. So prayers for Benny Chill's continued health here. All right. So boys, I feel like the last thing I wanted to cover is going to be covered when we get into man of the match, man, and get the fuck out of here. So let's get into that here. Like I said, 2 matches this week. You can always catch these polls on Twitter. Follow us at Flag Down Pod. Man of the match is going to be the best player or thing sometimes in the match. Man of the get the fuck out of here, created by our own Parker, is your least enjoyable thing from the match. So we'll start with the man of the match polls, starting with the Dortmund game. Your 4 options were Cucurella, Chilwell, Koulibaly, and Kai Havertz. Parker, you were at the match, so you had a different perspective. Let's start with you.
Yeah, and it's not sure one that you guys will agree with, but live watching Cucurella ball out was very evident. He played very, very well, and he seemed like he popped up every time we needed someone to pop up, and he didn't put a foot wrong all match. I thought Kai also played a phenomenal match, but seriously, and like sitting next to Carolyn, she was just like, wow, he's everywhere. Like, just, he is everywhere, and he is doing everything. And it like I said, it was very evident. So Cucurella was my man of the match.
For me, it was Benny Chills. I thought he played a phenomenal match. Especially in this kind of new formation that we just kind of came out with. I mean, it's, again, nothing new for the players. They played it under Tuchel, that kind of 3-4-3. So it's not necessarily new for them, but I thought Chills played a phenomenal game. He was kind of everywhere, producing a lot of good chances, and just kind of being all over the place and making the right decisions on a lot of things. So for me, it was Chills, but not by a lot.
And this was a tough one. I know when we were talking about the match after in our group chat, there were probably like 8 or 9 players who we had in there who could have been in this poll. Mine was Koulibaly, but I mentioned it earlier. I thought he was a brick wall in defense. Nothing was getting past him. Sebastian Haller is a tough player to mark. He's got the height. He's got a little bit of technical ability, and I thought Koulibaly did a great job shutting him down. So he was mine, but all 3 of us were wrong. Kai Havertz was voted your man of the match in probably one of our tightest polls to date. Havertz at 36%, Cucurella 32%, Chills and Koulibaly each at 16%, and then we had write-in votes. One from a Dortmund fan who said the ref, and then another individual said
that Ty Frings.
Sterling.
Was that Ty Frings?
Yeah. All right. And then next man of the match poll was for the Leicester match. Here are your 4 options. You had Kovacic, Enzo Fernandez, Kai Havertz, and Kepa Arrizabalaga.
Enzo for me. He was fantastic.
I thought Kepa had a fantastic performance that was highly overshadowed by other very good, more talked about performances. Kepa had a lot of great saves in that match that I think don't get talked about enough. I think for me, it was Kepa, because that game easily could have gotten out of hand really quick.
You know how I know that you're still not on Twitter, Matt? Kepa got 0% of the vote. Parker, I'm with you. It was Enzo. If I talk any more about Enzo, this is just going to be an Enzo pod. So Enzo, 73% of the vote. Kai Havertz, 18. Kovacic, 9. So turning to our man of the get the fuck out of here poll. We only had one this week. I felt like the Dortmund match was too much jubilation, too much celebration to put a negative in there. So now, granted, I think Jude Bellingham or Marius Wolf probably win that hands down.
Yep.
But turning to the Leicester match, had 4 options. karate kicks, ankle stomps, offsides, or Andre Mariner?
I'm going with Mariner. Collins, you alluded to it earlier, but the fact that they legitimately could have had 8 players in that match or 3 go off, it's tough, man. And to have like a really early big moment, not even have a yellow card kind of go, and it arguably a red, I felt like this was horrible from the get, and then it didn't get any better as things went on. It just was it felt like a really poorly officiated match, and so Mariner for me, easy.
I mean, I would chalk it up to either Mariner or VAR. I mean, whoever you want to go with, because the Ricardo challenge did go to VAR, and nah, you're good. Just a common foul, which I have issues with that. But I thought it was poorly officiated. Granted, we did win the match, right? So it's kind of hard to complain about it, but I thought overall it was very poorly officiated from the get-go. So for me, Andre Mariner.
Yeah, easy Andre Mariner. And this is the topic I thought would fit nicely in the man to get the fuck out of here poll, because he was fucking terrible. Parker, like you said, to allow Pereira's whatever you want to, the João Felix stomp, basically, to allow that to go without even a yellow card, just because it's early in the match, was stunning. Amarty could have easily been sent off. Face, I never know how to pronounce his name.
Foss.
Yeah, he was sent off, but could have been sent off earlier. Suter could have been called for a penalty on the Kai Havertz shot in the first half. So many things just went unchecked in that match, and he lost control very, very quickly in that match. Leicester City, I felt, took advantage of that, because you saw the tackles get increasingly more aggressive with the intent. You saw the intent there too on a lot of them, because they knew they weren't going to get called for it, and it was hard to watch. Parker, I know at one point, it was like the 85th minute or something, I made some comment about like, oh my God, like another one, you missed another one. Like, how is this game being played? And you're like, it's 3-1, we're about to win, like, be happy. And I was like, oh yeah, I guess I probably should. Oh man, yeah, he was easily my man to get the fuck out of here. I was so mad at him. And the people agreed, 84% Andre Mariner. Offsides was a close second at 16%. I feel like karate kicks and ankle stomps probably are also lumped in with Mariner. All right.
I mean, you could split karate kicks between a positive and a negative if you look at Kova versus Daniel Amarte.
Hey, Parker, what was the comment that Carolyn made to you about Kai Havertz and getting kicked in the chest?
I was literally going to close it out with that, but I will say it now. Literally, she goes, we need to have someone kick him in the chest every match.
I mean, it was like his best match of the season, so yeah, easily.
Or can we kick him in the chest every match?
Yeah.
But
just kick him pregame.
The shirt pull up with the studs in the chest, man, that was just fucking ridiculous.
What a move though by Kai, to walking past the ref like, oh, see, I'm not lying. I mean, to be fair, Wesley Fofana kicked somebody in the face, so
Barely. Stop.
And he got carded for it.
Yeah. But shins and ankles are fine, and so is studs to the chest. Yeah, good. Don't worry about it.
I actually was surprised West didn't get that handball called against him too. There was that free kick where he kind of made himself a little bit bigger with his elbows. I'm very shocked. That was the only thing I saw that went our way, that I was like, ooh, that that could have been dicey, but
I'm gonna keep that meme of John Terry in the VAR room in my back pocket because seemingly that's the way it's been going for us lately. So props to John Terry for getting his refereeing license. All right. Well, like I said, you can catch all of our polls, man of the match, man to get the fuck out of here, as well as sometimes we post other polls just by following us on Twitter at FlagDownPod. We'll post them after every match. And boys, I didn't even keep track of where we are, but I'm sure we're past the hour at this point. So let me wrap some things up, but not before I get some closing thoughts from you guys.
Hey, it's weird territory to be in this right now, right? 3 in a row, like we haven't felt this type of way in a long time. So all things positive right now, hoping for more. Trust the process.
I'm closing out by just saying carefree and up to Chelsea, because win or lose, it's up to Chelsea, and we continue to support this club. And going to London, being there live, reminded me why I do it, because you get a bunch of hooligans together at the pub and the match in the stadiums. That was another thing. I was sitting near a couple of international fans. I was sitting by a guy from Norway, sitting by a guy from Mexico, sitting by people from Southern California, all across the world, man. People come together for Chelsea. And it's this weird collection of folks that we all support the same team. So it reminded me of why we do it, why we love it, and all the fun that kind of comes with it. So up to Chelsea, baby.
All right. Well, before we close out on that, let me pay some bills here. We're not on Twitch this week. We may be again at some point if Parker ever stopped traveling. So we'll let you know when we go live, but make sure to give us a follow on Twitch. We're at Flag Down Pod. You can always catch the podcast itself wherever you get your podcasts, unless I fuck up like I did last week. But you can get them on Apple, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, anywhere. Again,
Doesn't matter.
search Flag Stays Down. You pipe down over there. I'm going without a script. You broke my concentration. Anyways, if you're on Apple or Spotify, please subscribe, rate, and review. You can follow the podcast itself on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. It's so easy. Everything is just at Flag Down Pod. You can follow me, Andy. I'm on Twitter, Comiskey North. Don't bother with Matt. And Parker's at DJ Parkour. So, boys, that's all I got. Let's cheers to winning and up to Chelsea.
Cheers, boys.
I'm all potted out.